Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be responding to a comment made by a viewer against one of my videos. And the particular comment for this video goes as follows. I'd love to know what you think of Miu Miu's leather handbags, as they're kind of getting popular in social media. I'm Anesu Sagonda and I produce educational luxury content for anyone after the finer things, whether you're young and starting out in life and wanting to reap the benefits of buying better quality from the get-go, or you're new to money and wanting to learn how to navigate the terrain, or you're into luxury but you want to focus more on high quality under the radar brands, then my content is geared towards you. Over the last 18 months, Miu Miu has gone through a massive growth spurt and in turn generated noteworthy sales that everybody in the industry is talking about. And this is off the back of a fairly significant revamp the brand went through just after the pandemic. And they revamped the product, they revamped the styling of their product, and they made Miu Miu a brand that was ageless and genderless, and therefore significantly broadened its consumer base. The products appealed to a much wider audience and in turn were able to generate absolutely outstanding sales. Miu Miu is a brand that's incredibly dear to my heart. It's the only aspirational brand I've ever bought handbags from, together with one bag from Prada, but that's the same family. And the first Miu Miu bag I bought was about 25 years ago. And I bought it soon after graduating. One of my bonuses, I bought a Miu Miu bag. And when I bought the bag, it was at a time where there weren't a lot of luxury brands sloshing about in the market. And there also weren't a lot of handbags. And at that time, the premium luxury brands charged for their products was very much associated with high quality. And I really noticed it with the Miu Miu bags I bought subsequent to my first one. And all of the bags I bought 25 years ago, up until about 15 years ago, they were bags I literally used day in, day out. I had a work bag, I had a going out bag, a running around bag, I had a date night bag, I had a weekend bag. And these are bags I used all the time. I got a lot of wear from them and I thoroughly enjoyed them and I still have some of them. And then I noticed from about year 15 to year 13, the quality started going down. And I returned a couple of work bags, literally the stitching unraveled. And in one of them, the lining as well also started to tear. And so I returned a couple of bags and I switched from buying Miu Miu bags as everyday bags to occasion bags. And so the last bag I bought from Miu Miu was 5 years ago. So from 5 years ago to 15, I switched from everyday bags, my core bags, to bags that were just occasion bags because I noticed the wear and tear wasn't so good. The quality of the leathers had gone down. The details, the execution of the bags just wasn't there. It was just going down consistently over the years. And in my hierarchy of handbags series, I'm going to attach the specific Miu Miu episode above. I was asked about Miu Miu and I mentioned Miu Miu bags are not everyday bags. They're not built to last. The craftsmanship is not there. They are very much occasion bags. Bags you bring out once in a while. The bags I now have that I bought from year 15 to between year 15 and 5, I wear possibly a handful of times. I have a significant number of Miu Miu bags. I don't know if I'll ever admit how many, but it's a double-digit number, and they are bags I only use sparingly now because I still like them. But the quality, the wear and tear is really poor with the bags. I've also outgrown the look and I've moved, as you know, to brands that are focused on high quality and under the radar. And so when I received the comment, it really made my heart smile because it's a brand that's dear to my heart. And it also gave me a chance to delve back into Miu Miu and just take a look at some of the bags that are making waves, like the Aventure, the Wonder, and also the Arcadie bags, which I'll talk about at the end. But I'm going to split this video into two sections. The first bit, I will talk about my bags between year 25 and 15, and then year 15 to year 5, and just give you my thoughts on the decline, what works, what doesn't work with Miu Miu, and then my thoughts at the end on the new bags that they are creating in terms of the quality of the leathers, the craftsmanship, the details, and the level of finish. There are a couple of things I've particularly liked about Miu Miu. The first is hardware, and in particular their stainless steel, their silver colored hardware. It ages perfectly, beautifully, it's bulletproof. Their hardware is fantastic, it's weighted, it's a solid product. It doesn't chip, crack, peel. It looks beautiful the entire life of the bag. The silver hardware. The gold hardware, I have found over time, it does lighten, and you will get uneven coloring when on their gold hardware, but it doesn't chip or crack or anything. It's beautiful, it's weighted, but the gold plating will lighten with time. That's something that I found with Miu Miu. So when it comes to choosing a bag and you're buying something that you'd like to use for a very long time, maybe focus more on the stainless steel, the silver hardware. That'll be better wearing than the gold. Buy the gold knowing it's going to lighten unevenly with time. The second thing I've liked is their leathers, specifically the vegetal tanned leathers. The bags I've bought from them using vegetal tanned leathers, so the richer, deeper colors, think of cognac tan, chocolate brown, for example. Those bags have aged absolutely beautifully, and I still look at them, I still use them on occasion. And vegetal tanned leather it's thicker, it's more durable, it's stiffer, and it's also vegetal tanned, so it's going to age absolutely exquisitely. The leather will patina really, really nicely. But the colored bags that I have, they come into two different camps. They are all chrome tanned leather. Chrome tanned leather is great because you're able to achieve a much wider color palette, and Miu Miu is really well known for having really bright, bold, vivid colors when it comes to the selection of colors that they offer with their different styles. But they use chrome tanned leather, and I recently spoke about chrome tanned leather in the Launer video, which I'm going to attach above. And with chrome tanned leather, the distinct advantage is you're able to get a lot of colors, a lot more colors than vegetal tanned. But the leather is ultimately soft, it's thinner, it's stretchy. But it's leather that's typically not going to age well. It's nowhere near as robust as vegetal tanned leather. And unless you are using leather that is top end, we're talking brands that are level 6, level 7, ultra high end, bespoke level of luxury, where they are using leather that is, first of all, very good quality and then incredibly well tanned, then it's never really going to age well or anywhere near as well as vegetal tanned. And what I've noticed is that the colored bags I have, I really like the Matalassi, one of their signature iconic styles. And I've noticed my older Matalassi colored bags, the leather has aged beautifully, even though it's chrome tanned. And there isn't any splitting, cracking, or tearing at all. But the newer bags that I bought between 5 and 10 years ago, I have noticed that the leather is splitting, there are tears to it. It's not aging as well. And I typically have to use those bags sparingly. So I really have noticed there's a difference between the chrome tanned leathers from 15, 20 years ago and the newer ones that they're now using. The quality is not there. And so if you want a bright colored bag from Miu Miu, then it's a bag I would say use sparingly, because it certainly will not stand the test of time. So what haven't I liked about Miu Miu bags? Well, the first is the lining. I'll talk about the lining again at the end when I talk about the new styles that they're creating. I bought a bag, 2 bags, around the same time, over 15 years ago, and it's been interesting to watch how the 2 bags have aged. The brown Matalassi bag, I particularly like, and I used it a lot. And I noticed after a period of time that the lining on the inside had started to wear through, and I sent it back to Miu Miu to be repaired. And I noticed they just changed the lining in the middle. So I could feel there's a difference between the lining, the old lining and the new lining. And I used the bag for the whole summer, and then the lining tore again. And I thought, so the quality of the fabric they're now using is of a poorer quality to what they have used in the past. And that's something they're using a lot in the new bags that I've noticed. The other thing that I've noticed is the edge coating. The edge coating on the newer bags is not as good. It cracks very quickly. I have looked at my original bags. Yes, I have noticed the edge coating over the last few years has started to lift in certain sections, but overall it has really stood the test of time, and the edge coating has stayed in place. It's been very thinly, neatly, evenly applied, and it's just remained intact. But the newer bags, and in particular this beige bag, it's a beige bag I exchanged for a bag I had before, and it started to open, the stitching unraveled. And I was given a selection of bags and I chose that as an alternative. And it was a bag I used quite often as a work bag, but I noticed wear and tear started to come through very quickly. Firstly, the edge coating cracked very quickly. And I also noticed the handles had a very thick cardboard fiber on the inside to maintain the structure, the rigidity of the straps. But I noticed as well after a couple of years that it split and the handles were flimsy, they were bending, and there wasn't any way of repairing straps. So whatever they used on the inside wasn't as robust, as hard wearing as it should be to be able to have maintained the stiffness of the handles. And then the final thing I've noticed is just the details they've factored in or not factored into, for example, where they attach straps or handles, for example. I have noticed the older bags, pressure points where the handles are attached, they've worn beautifully, the leather hasn't split. But the newer bags, I've noticed the leather has split where there's a lot of pressure where the handles are applied. Still fairly robust, thick leather. It'll take a lot to tear it if I continue using the bag. But this particular bag I'm showing you is a work bag that I've had for a number of years, and it's a bag that I haven't used a lot, and it's not a bag I used for long periods of time consecutively. It's a bag that would come out every so often. So I'm a little disappointed how it has worn through very quickly. I've had it for a while, but not a bag I've carried a lot. And so moving to the new bags that they are creating, there are three things that I really want to touch on. The first is all the Miu Miu bags I own, they're a mixture of bags I have bought myself, and I've never paid full price for a Miu Miu bag. It's always been on sale or at a fairly sizable discount off the original price, or they are bags that have been gifts. And one thing I realized very quickly about Miu Miu at the time when I really bought their bags was that they went on sale. And as I've mentioned before, I'm going to attach the video above, I'm going to try and dig it out. And I mentioned I like Gap. Gap is a fantastic brand for my basics. And I've never paid full price because they always have promotions. So the value of the brand, I don't value Gap because I know if I wait, I will get the products on sale. So I don't pay full price. And that's just something I did with Miu Miu, that I never paid full price. I always waited for sales, and the styles I liked, I was able to get them on sale. But around the time they started their whole revamp, they stopped putting their products on sale because they wanted to put them on par with the likes of Hermes, Christian Dior, Chanel, for example, brands that don't go on sale and they maintain their value. Consumers will pay full price because they believe their bags are worth it. And so that's something that we have worked towards building. And at that time, when they stopped going on sale, I stopped buying their bags because I didn't think they were worth it, because I was aware of the dip in the quality of their bags. And why talking about Miu Miu? Because I want my viewers to be able to make an informed decision when it comes to buying Miu Miu bags. And I'm not saying don't buy them. I'm just saying buy the bags knowing what the potential pitfalls are with the bags. And if you see value, you want to identify with whatever it is that Miu Miu stands for, it means to you, then by all means buy the bags, but buy knowing some of the pitfalls. And as you know, my channel is very much focused on brands that are high quality, under the radar. And if you get to a point where you think, I would like better value for my money, better value that I'm getting from Miu Miu, then of course you know I have alternate brands. The second thing I want to touch on is Miu Miu's new styles. They're trendy, they're hip, they're current, they're very much of the moment. They are not focused on the long game. They're not creating styles that are timeless, that someone will buy and carry and use for many years to come. They are appealing to a much wider audience, an audience that's younger and older. Younger audience that will be into the trendy pieces, iconic pieces they're building, like Arcadie, for example. The consumer who buys that, when that goes out of fashion, they'll move on to the next style that Miu Miu is going to create. So it's pieces where there's high turnover, the styles are going to change, and you constantly have a consumer who's always going to come back and buy and help to keep the sales up. Which leads to my third and final point. Miu Miu are not focused on creating incredibly high quality products. It doesn't really work with trendy. Trendy is high, quick, fast turnover, and therefore the quality, you need it to be good when the consumer buys it and they carry the bag, and then when it starts to tail off, the style starts to go out of fashion, and they come back for something new and better. They are creating bags at the moment that are iconic, people are talking about, but they're not putting a lot of high quality leathers, craft and details into these bags. And they're charging an absolute premium. I reached out to Danone, a French tannery owned by Hermes, just to get an idea of how much it would cost to create a bag, for example, like Miu Miu are creating. And as somebody who doesn't have a relationship with Danone, I have to buy the minimum order, which is one skin, 24 square feet in size. And that can create between 4 to 6 bags, depending on the size and the style of the bag. And the height, that's 24 square feet in size, costs about 300 euros. And I went for one of their top quality leathers. I'll include the details down below. And for 4 bags, that would cost about 70 euros per bag. If I was to cut 5 bags, that's about 56 euros a bag. If I was to cut 6 bags, that would be about 46 euros a bag. And then throw into that possibly an extra 100 euros to factor in the labor, factory overheads. Also throw into that equation as well the hardware, the thread, all the other implements you need to create the bag. So you're looking at a price of about 150 euros to create each bag. Bearing in mind, the majority of the bags they're creating either have fabric lining, either the linen blend or the brown fabric I mentioned before. Very few of their bags are leather on leather. If it's leather on leather, I'd hazard a guess and say the price is going to jump up to about 200, 250 euros, depending on the style and the details and so forth. But essentially what it means is if a bag costs 150 euros to make, and Miu Miu is selling the bag for about 2,800, 3,000 euros, which is the typical price, that's a markup of 1,900%. That is a huge amount of money that Miu Miu are making. And when I went around to look at the bags and I was reacquainting myself with what they're making, I noticed they use a lot of fabric lining. From my own experience, the brown fabric lining is a no-no. It already makes me nervous because I know from my own experience with my bag being partly relined, the leather wore through very quickly and it split. But they also have introduced what they call a linen blend fabric. And when I asked, why are you coupling really beautiful leather, they had a really nice antique-y looking vegetal tanned brown smooth calfskin that just is going to age beautifully. I like the way it marks, but the marks soften with time. And on the inside, they've lined the bag, the Aventure, with the linen blend. And I said, why have you done this? And they said, well, it makes it lighter. If you have leather on leather, it makes the bag heavy. That is not correct. I looked at a style very similar to the Aventure. I don't know the name, but it's similar in terms of the size, and then it had various components, but it's leather on leather lining versus the Aventure. And the Aventure bag is heavier than the leather on leather lined bag. So it's not correct. A number of brands are stating that they're using fabric lining to make it lighter. That is not correct. They're cutting corners because you can get lightweight leathers you can use to line the inside of the bag. So they're bringing the cost of production right down and then cranking up the premium. So they're making a lot of money and giving the impression there's a lot of quality, a lot of craft, a lot of detail, a lot has gone into the bags, but very little has gone into the Miu Miu bags. And so it's something I'm incredibly mindful of, that you're paying 3,000 euros for a bag that is very cheaply made and it doesn't have a lot going for it, and then throw into it, if it's the colored bags, the chrome tanned, the wear and tear is not going to be so good, but more focus on the vegetal tanned, but still with the fabric. A cheap product all around with a massive premium. By all means, as I said in the beginning, buy Miu Miu bags. If you like them, if you identify with the brand and what it stands for, go for it. But go for the brand, buy their products knowing that they have made the product as cheaply as possible. The leather they're using is good quality, but not amazing, the type of amazing I'd expect for the price that they're charging. So those are my thoughts on Miu Miu in this video from my own personal experience, translating that into the new styles, what I think you may have in store with what Miu Miu are currently designing. Any thoughts, any questions, anything else you'd like to know? As always, please let me know in the comment section down below.